I actually heard some people who are, kind of in the business, floating this out as a possible thought, like, well, the Yankees are just kind of protecting Max Fried here, and it's more of a preemptive move, like he's not really hurt, but because Rodon is healthy and he's ready to come back. What? I mean, what are we talking about here, man? You actually think that the Yankees are thinking about doing that? You think that the Yankees, who are 6 games behind the Rays and are still trying to win the division, as painful as it seems most nights when they can't score 2 or 3 runs, do you think that they would actually concoct such a plan? I mean, that is just that's idiotic. If you tell me that maybe, Cam Schlittler went on the IL with a phantom, a little fatigue, a little hamstring strain. All right, he's pitched a lot. He's a young guy. You know how it goes these days. It's not like when Tom Seaver was coming up throwing 300 innings or Clemens or those dudes. You've got to incrementally build up, and the Yankees are pretty confident where they are, at least in terms of being a playoff team. And they think the prudent move to make sure that they've got everything lined up for October would be to maybe, skip Cam Schlittler 1 or 2, maybe 3 starts and let him get really fresh for the – okay, I mean, I still wouldn't necessarily buy that, but that would make a whole hell of a lot more sense than doing this with Max Fried. He's hurt. I mean, he's hurt. He's absolutely hurt, and we all know, we've heard this in movies. We've heard coaches say this. Are you hurt? Or are you injured? If you're hurt, suck it up, get back out there. If you're injured, we've got a different conversation to have. And I mean, I don't know how you don't think anything other than Max Fried is obviously injured at this point. Jared, do me a favor, get that graph up. I want to explain a little bit. When you talk, and I'm not going to play doctor, but I know this stuff a little bit. I had Tommy John. I'm not saying he needs that, although this, God forbid, could be a precursor to it. See, the issue with the bone bruise, you don't hear a lot about bone bruises, although Scooble had it. Like when I was growing up, first of all, the way the information was spread was so different than it is now. But I don't think I ever heard of pitchers out with a bone bruise. Maybe, I don't know, Kevin McReynolds fouled the ball off his shin, and Kevin McReynolds is out for 10 days with a bone bruise in his shin. But the bone bruise, which is really just micro trauma to the joint's bone tissue, which could ultimately lead to small tears in the ligaments, et cetera, which then, of course, could lead to the worst, which would be the UCL. You just didn't hear this about pitchers. You heard about rotators. You heard about elbow pain, forearm tingling. Now the bone bruises, which obviously has to be a result of, max effort and, guys chasing 97, 98, 99, 100, almost every pitch and just, get max effort, the exertion that is required to get through a major league lineup these days, unlike when back in the day when you had a shortstop who couldn't hit, you had a second baseman who couldn't hit, you had a catcher, and I don't just mean the Yankees catcher, but pretty much every catcher in baseball was hitting 212 with like 4 home runs and, a 609 OPS, and he couldn't run a lick, like a complete non-threat offensively. In the NL, you had pitchers. So it was just easier to navigate a lineup. Now, for the most part, there's a lot of strikeout machines in every lineup, but you got 9 guys in essence who could take you deep if you miss your spot. So you've got to really max exert through the entire lineup. Anyway, back to Fried here. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy who now is on the 15-day IL for the second time with the same thing. And that 15-day IL wound up equating to 2 months lost, okay? I don't know, and I don't want to be irresponsible here, but I've just got to give you my gut reaction. I don't know how anybody's sitting here thinking that Max Fried's going to be on the bump in October, spinning a gem and putting up zeros against anybody. I mean, if I had to put money down right now, I don't think we see Max Fried the rest of the year. That's what's in my gut. There's only so many times you could go to the same injury well before something else cracks. Like, all right, you shore this part up, and then you shore that part up, and then you make sure this is okay. But as you work around all those injuries, eventually, and I'm going to take Fried's name out of it just in generalities here. But when you're talking about a bone bruise, again, which is repeated, and it's on the inside of the elbow, which is where the UCL ligament is, which obviously is the Tommy John ligament, right? But when you talk about repeated trauma to the bone, the bruising of the bone, which is I'd say about an inch or so away from the UCL ligament, the fear and the reality of it for a lot of players is that as the bone bruise widens, and it usually does, as the bruise widens, well, now it begins to kind of intersect with those little fibers that connect the elbow. And that is the absolute fear here. He's had other issues with his elbow when he was with the Braves. I remember, I think it was 2023, missed 90 days, inflammation, left elbow. Like, there's a lot going on in there. And the crazy thing is that he's pitched incredibly well. 4 of the 5 starts have been great. But this is just another sobering reminder of what a disastrous, at least in terms of injuries, not necessarily results, this Yankee season has been. I mean, every time you get some good news, it's offset by bad news. It's insane. I've really never seen anything like this. And that's just not like, that is not being a prisoner of the moment. That's not like, oh, let me reach for the hyperbolic statement. No. I have never seen the Yankees. I mean, I'm sure other teams. I've never seen the Yankees deal with blow after blow after blow after blow. It is uncanny. And like, the fact that it hasn't derailed their season is nothing short of amazing. Now it's the Yankees. So the Yankees, again, the platitudes aren't being handed out. Oh, wow, what an amazing job by the resilient Yankees. Look at the Yankees powering through all these injuries. No. What do? We complain about the lack of offense. We complain about being 6 games behind the small market Rays. We complain about not winning a World Series since 2009. We complain about not doing enough at the deadline. And by the way, some of those are very valid. I'm not saying they're not. But it's really, like, in totality, the tone of this season, and I hesitate to use the word accomplishment because it seems like almost like a loser mentality. But the fact that the Yanks are setting the pace in the wild card race it's an act of God. It's an act of the baseball gods who have taken so much from the Yankees this year, but yet have still allowed them to somehow perform at a level where they're going to win 90-something games and be a playoff team. And I don't know how. I don't know how they're doing this. I'm running out of answers. I'm running out of patience. I'm running out of reasons. I'm running out of things to say. I mean, how many times? Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, there are situations where you get blows early, like in the NFL training camp. Like, looks like Breece Hall is going to be okay. That's good. There you go. That's welcome news there. You know, some teams day one, non-padded drill. A stud linebacker ruptures his Achilles, left tackle down for the year, quarterback shreds his ACL, and some innocuous drill. Like, these things are going to happen, all right? When you're talking about a body that is going, that is pushed to the limit in terms of physical exertion, in terms of either explosive movements or pushing weights and resistance, I mean, these things are just bound to happen. But what's happened to the Yankees this year is unlike anything that I have ever seen for any New York baseball team in my life.